It's been a long time waiting, but turkey season is finally upon us. I'm a little bit quiet right now because David and I, we are out here trying to roost some birds for tomorrow's hunt. And right in front of us is the only trees out here. So if you guys look around us, or around me, there's like no trees at all. You turn right here, this is where all the trees are. And if turkeys are here, that's where they would roost because, well, turkeys roost in trees. And you might be wondering, like, what are you doing out in this wasteland? Well, here in the state of Washington, there's 3 species of turkeys. There's your eastern turkeys, your Merriams, and your Rio Grandes. If you guys have seen my past videos from like last year where we're hunting mountain birds, up there the species we're chasing is called Merriam turkeys. Well, David wanted to shoot a Rio Grande turkey this year. So this is the closest spot, one of the closest spot from home for us that has Rio Grande turkeys. And so we came out here and we're trying to locate some birds for tomorrow's hunt. But the thing is, this is our only chance. If they're not here, then pretty much this hunt is busted and we're gonna go back home. We're gonna drive up north and basically go after the good old Merriam turkeys. We wanted to give Rio Grande turkeys a shot. That's why we came out here. I don't know how this is gonna go. We might just end up back up north chasing Merriam turkeys, but you gotta give it a try before you can say that Rio Grande's no good. We're gonna go over there, we're gonna see if we can locate a bird or a flock of turkeys. And if not, then, well, back up north we go. So typically when you roost birds, you obviously want to hear them gobble. When they gobble, you can pinpoint them a lot easier. They might not be answering us, but one effective method that we have done in the past is when it's nighttime like this, when you know it's close or it is time for turkeys to roost up in the trees, one method is you just glass for them. So what you would do is you would sit down and you will glass up. That way, if the turkeys are in the trees, it's a lot easier to spot them because they're silhouetted against the sky. And so right now, David's actually over there. David's doing a lot of like locating calls. I haven't heard it gobble yet. I don't know if he's heard it gobble. I don't think he has. So I'm just sitting here. I'm just glassing and trying to silhouette any turkeys that are roosted in the trees. But I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I don't think this hunt's gonna go as planned, and we might back out and we might go up north and hunt some Merriam turkeys because that's the tried and true paradise land for turkey hunting in Washington state. We just heard it's a little bit further down the ridge, basically straight across. You guys can see the 2 silhouettes over here. That's the mountains we were hoping them to be, or at least on our side. Right now it's right on 5 o'clock. We let out a locating call, got 2 different gobbles, but once again they're both pretty far off. But we're gonna try to locate over here. If we don't hear anything over here, then we'll just work our way and go work those 2 that gobbled over there. I think today's gonna be a fun day, guys. Alright, well, we've kind of been running around just trying to set up on a bird. We went down this ridge over here. This guy over here, he just shut up. There was one right here. He's on the road. He's not that far from us. So we're gonna throw our decoys down and we're gonna try to set up and hopefully call him right in. see the first turkey of the year, and it's a gobbler. We knew he was over there because he was one of the ones that was gobbling this morning. I think he just gobbled. David just located. He gobbled. There's actually I think there's a bull moose right under that turkey house. I actually glassed that moose, but I only saw the hindquarters, so I didn't think it was anything. But basically in the peripherals of my binocular, I saw the turkey strutting on top. I was like, oh, dude, there's a gobbler up there. He's a long ways away. The other gobbler, he actually gobbled right over here, the one we set up on. And then I don't know where he went. I think he just took the road down. So David and I, we came up this hump, this little hill. David's actually down here somewhere. And I knew there was a gobbler on that side somewhere. So we got onto the hill. I just stayed here. I just glassed it. Sure enough, found the first turkey of the season. We're faced with some decisions to make. So we actually have, I think, 2 or 3 gobblers. The one that I glassed, they're still over there, but it's just that they're a little bit higher now, and they're just strutting their tails off. We have 2 gobblers. One's over here. This is the one we just set up on, and then there's one that's gobbled right there. And there's one way across. So we're gonna have to move fast. Gobblers all around us. We'll see. Fingers crossed. We're walking. Turkeys are up there. Bam, baby. See those sheds? This little hillside right here, that's where we last glassed them from like 1,500 yards away. We got right here. David let out a call right here. He was just right down there. So we scrambled back. And then he went all the way down. I think he was all the way close to the road. And then he worked his way all the way up. He got right there, put on a little show before he got smoked. Oh man, this is by far one of the birds we've worked the hardest for.
It's not the biggest though.
It's not the biggest, but man, he is. That was worth it. Good shot. Perfect. Gonna take some quick photos while the turkey's still fresh. We get about 20 pounds to pack off this mountain. These turkeys in this vicinity has been like eluding us for the past like 8 years we've hunted here. This is the first official turkey that we've taken out of this vicinity within that 8 years. Every time we come here, there's always birds, always gobbling, we always see them. Let me turn the camera this way so you guys can see me better. But these birds, for some reason, they always outsmart us. But today, I told David, when we glassed this guy way up, I was like, dude, if we're willing to hike up that mountain, our chances of calling in that bird are pretty dang high. That's exactly what happened. All right, well, today is April 17th. This is David's first turkey of the year. I just kind of want to basically do a hunt recap because I don't know how well of a job I did filming our hunt today. But yesterday, you guys saw David and I, we were actually out in the scablands of Washington trying to fill a Rio tag or get a Rio turkey. Unfortunately, we didn't locate any birds, so we did a 360, about a 2.5 hour drive back home, and then up north. Up here, that's where we are. We're at the mountains in northeast Washington. And up here is tons of birds, tons of Merriams. And so this morning, David and I, we had no birds roosted. We didn't know where any birds were. We set up on this little four-wheeler road. Unfortunately, he just took his hens and they just went down the road, I'm assuming. And so we got onto this little knob and we started glassing because we heard that there was one gobbling across here, which I think it was this guy. And we glassed him. He was strutting right across from here. And we just sat there, we just glassed for a little bit. Turkey just gobbled again. And we just glassed for a while and we were just contemplating on what we were gonna do. One of the mistakes I've seen a lot of people do, and we've done it in the past, is usually after our first setup, if our first setup doesn't work, we pretty much call it quits. We just, oh, well, game's over. But the thing with turkey hunting is, as long as it's legal for you to shoot, your chances of killing bird is definitely there. So we shot this bird right at 8 o'clock in the morning. Around this time, a lot of rookie hunters, they would call it quits and they'd already be back at camp. So David and I, we did it straight down to the bottom of the creek and straight up this mountain. And we got right here, and sure enough, we located him. He was right down here. We last saw him up there, but he was down here. And luckily, we set up the decoy. We just sat there. We didn't really have time we had time to set up, but where we are, it's kind of hard to set up, so we just hope for the best. And sure enough, he looped all the way back around us, got right here, put on a little bit of show, and David just smoked him probably like right up 20 yards. And so don't just give up on your first setup. One of the deadliest times to kill a turkey is right around this time when it's late morning, because a lot of times, especially right now, hens, they'll flock together. Hens and gobblers, they'll flock together. But as soon as it's this time, hens will start separating from the gobblers, and hens will start going, and hens will start basically making their nests so that they can start laying eggs. And so right now, when it's during that time, the hens, they're off, gobblers are lonely. And so if you go in and you're like, hey, I'm another hen, sometimes that entices the gobbler. He's like, oh, there's another hen, she needs to be bred, I'm gonna go over and check her out. I think that's exactly what this bird did. He actually had another turkey with him. I don't know if it was a jake or a hen, but he had another one with him. I'm assuming it's a hen because this guy came in and he was all alone. And so I think the hen, when we first saw him, they were together. But as we were working over here, I think they separated. Like I just told you guys, the hen went off and she was doing her own thing, hopefully making her own nest. And sure enough, we called this guy right in with just hen calling. So this is David's first bird of the year. We still got birds gobbling all around us. So first hunt of the year is a success. So congrats to David. We're gonna pack this bird off the mountain. We still got some time ahead of us, so maybe we'll be able to put a second one down. Alright, so we shot David's turkey right up here. We still have a bunch of gobblers gobbling all over these ridges. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna sit and we're gonna try to glass and at least try to pinpoint where they are. That way we know how to make a move. We were on that side, we saw this guy, so we came on this side and shot this guy. And now we have the vantage point to look and glass on that side. So hopefully we can spot a gobbler and then we'll make our move. So we're just gonna sit for a while. Still got a lot of day left. Might be able to put a second one down today. We'll see.
Check you down.
All right, guys, this is my first
2019
Merriam turkey. David shot one earlier this morning, and
what time is it right now?
that's a good question. Right now it's 1:28, so I probably shot him right at 1:15, 1:20, around there. Yeah.
Afternoon birds.
When we first started out, we thought that afternoon hunts were pretty much nothing. We've actually learned that afternoon hunts are pretty dang deadly. A lot of times that's when you're gonna kill birds, like one of the prime times. But we're gonna take some pictures, and I think it's time to go home. We're pretty exhausted. Not gonna lie about that. Beautiful bird. It's April. Hold that. It's the 17th. Bam. April 17th. That's the first tag of 2019 for me. Tag number 1. Again, I apologize for the footage, but I swear I heard David say take him, so I took him. Maybe this weekend, we'll go find number 2. We'll go find real mountain birds. For now, David and I, we're gonna go home. We're pretty exhausted. It's been a blast though today. Perfect. Whew, right in there. I'm just gonna leave it open like that. David decided to shoot one far away. I was smart. I shot the one not that far from the car. Alright. Make sure I have everything. GoPro. Alright guys, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that hunt. That was the first official turkey hunt of the year for myself, and I think for David as well. So on my hunt, which is the second hunt you guys saw, the footage was kind of sloppy. We didn't really get any good footage. The main reason is because we had some miscommunications. So I'm just gonna go over what happened on my turkey hunt in this video. So the time, it was right around noon when David and I, we decided to head out to a new spot. And so we got to this one spot. This is the spot that David shot his bird last year. So we knew there was birds in here. And so sure enough, when we were driving there, we spotted the birds on the hill that we would eventually shoot my bird on. Essentially in that property, there's one entrance and you only have one access. And literally the turkeys were on the other side of that public property. So we had to go in all the way and loop all the way around and then start setting up on the birds. And so fast forward, on the first setup, I was the one who started calling, but the birds never responded to me. But then David started calling and they started responding to David's call. But after several minutes of calling, they started moving away from us. And so David and I, we packed up and we moved locations. At first, we were slightly below them, kind of just level with them. And so they started moving down the ridge. So David and I, we decided to loop around and get on top so that we would call them. And if they were to come in, they would come up the hill. Long story short, that's exactly what happened. On our first setup, David and I, we were just acting as a neutral hen, you know, just a hen, you know, you give a few yelps here and there. After the first setup, we noticed that he wasn't really interested. On the second setup, David told me to call because on top of that hill, it was super windy. I'm sure you guys could tell by the footage. David's diaphragm that he was using is raspier than mine. My diaphragm's a lot cleaner and a lot more high pitch. And so when it's windy like that, David's diaphragm wasn't really cutting the wind that good. And so right when I was about to give up, David was like, dude, you just call. So as soon as I started calling, every time I did a sequence, he would answer me. And as soon as he answered me, I hit him back with another hen yelp and he would answer me right back. So after the first two sequences, when that happened, I knew that the bird, he was semi-committed to coming in, but I wanted to solidify that bird coming in. So I kept going at it, and sure enough, I pulled him and the rest of the flock right in on a string. Unfortunately, where we were sitting, David was probably like, I don't know, 20 yards to my right. So me, David, and the decoy, we made a triangle. So David's here, I'm here, the decoy's here, and the turkeys are coming up like this. And I only see one. That's the only bird I've seen. And so I was just waiting for the cue from David to shoot him. Eventually, David said, let him come, because David didn't see the turkeys yet. I didn't hear what David said. I just heard that David said something. So I assumed that David said, take him. So the bird I shot was right here. And what I didn't know was that there was another gobbler right behind him. But because the hillside was so steep, I just couldn't see the other bird. So as soon as I shot, the bird that I shot, he dropped. But the guy behind him, he jumped and he did like a semi-flight. And his head was blue, just like the one I shot. So as soon as he jumped, I thought I missed. So I did a follow-up shot because in my head, I was like, well, if it didn't kill him, I had to at least have injured that bird. So my reaction was like, I need to put that bird down. And so I shot him when he was kind of in mid-flight. And I shot and I missed him and he landed. He started running away. And so I stood up. And as soon as I stood up, right when I was going to shoot the other one, the second bird that I shot, I looked to my left and that's when I saw the bird I first shot flopping around. And so luckily, I didn't kill that bird. But the thing is, I did have 2 tags. So even if I killed that bird, like I would have just tagged out on both of them. But I guess that's one lesson too, you know, for a lot of us, you know, in the heat of the moment, I 100% thought that the bird I shot was the one that jumped up. That's why I put a follow-up shot on that bird. And I guess in my situation, luckily I missed that second bird and my first bird was just down with the first shot. And so that's kind of what happened. The footage was kind of sloppy. I only had the GoPro on me and then David didn't really see anything. Yeah, that's kind of what happened on the second hunt. I apologize for the footage. I just want to go over the strategies that David and we used on this specific hunt, and hopefully it will teach you something, and maybe you can add to your strategy arsenal and hopefully make you a little bit more successful on the turkey woods. If you're new to turkey hunting, the biggest thing I will stress to you is try to hunt as long as you can. A lot of people, including ourselves, we used to only hunt turkeys during that early morning, or what I call a roost setup, where literally you have the birds roosted in the trees and you're just waiting for them to pitch down and shoot them. A lot of people, including ourselves back then, if our roost setup didn't work, we would just give up. We'd be like, oh, day's over, we'll just go back to camp, go take a nap, go rest, and then try an evening hunt. We're actually a lot more successful on turkey hunts during the late morning to the afternoon time. And right now, again, I kind of explained it early in the video, but the biggest reason is both gobblers and hens will flock and roost together. So at first light, they'll land together. They're going to do their things. Gobblers going to be breeding the hens. And so after that first light, when they get down and they start breeding, a lot of times turkeys will go quiet. Gobblers will go quiet because they're more focused on breeding rather than trying to find another hen. Just think, if he already has a hen and that hen needs to be bred, he doesn't really have a purpose to just give up on that hen and come to another hen. After they're done breeding, which pretty much doesn't last very long, it's just basically at first light, hens will typically start separating away from the gobblers because they're going to go to their nest. Right now, hens, that's their priority. Be bred and basically go and make their nest. Once their hens are bred, they leave the gobblers, and a lot of times that leaves gobblers alone. And during this time of the year, the number one thing on a gobbler's mind is just find hens and breed hens. And so if you wait until like that 7, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning when the hens already leave the gobblers, if you imitate a hen, like, hey, I'm a hen, I don't have a gobbler with me, a lot of times that's enough to draw in a gobbler in. And that's exactly what happened on David's turkey hunt you guys saw in this video. He actually had another hen with him. As David and I, we were working to get to the other side where he was, which was like a 2.5 mile hike. By that time, his hen already left him. And so he was all alone. And sure enough, David and I, we just hen called, and he literally just came up, looped around, and David shot him. Now with my bird, it was a little bit different because with my bird, it was a whole flock of birds. It wasn't just one bird like David's. So the bird I shot, he was with like 3 other gobblers, and he had like 5 or 6 hens. With David's turkey, we just did a neutral sounding hen, and he came in. We tried to do that with the bird I shot, but it didn't work. I believe it didn't work because he already had so many hens. And for him, he's just like, well, if you need a gobbler, you can just come over to us because I already have like 5 or 6 hens with me. The bird that I shot, all his hens, they weren't hot yet. They weren't really in the breeding mode yet. So on my second setup, I went over there and I started imitating a really hot hen. So because in that situation, even though the gobbler, he had a bunch of hens, I imitated a hen that was ready to be bred. At least I tried to. He and 3 other gobblers and like 5 or 6 hens came up on a string, and I shot them. So that was pretty much the 2 strategies that David and myself used on this hunt. Later on in the season, techniques and strategies will definitely have to be changed. You have to adapt to the time of the season, in which for us, luckily, these 2 tactics right here worked for us on this particular hunt. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Episode 2 should be coming out soon. Hopefully we'll be able to put some more birds down on the ground. For now, this is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.